Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Judy Nathans.
And I'm still Robert Winters, and I've been that way my whole life.
Oh, lucky you.
Right.
No aliases in your past.
No, none me. I did have a nickname. I was called Rabbit all the time through high
Rabbit,
school.
because she just like
Nah,
jumped around?
No. It was just a friend who I knew when I was 15 and she was 14 who just accidentally pronounced Robert as Rabbit.
Oh.
And then everybody started calling me Rabbit.
That's cute.
So, in fact, in my high school yearbook, I'm just listed as Rabbit everywhere.
That's really interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
So a few particular things. Actually, one thing related to elections, we talked about some of the election-related matters that were not presidential. Mm-hmm. One thing potentially very significant and kind of groundbreaking thing happened in the state of Maine.
Right. Yes, I heard that. I was thinking of you. Yes.
Right. And again, just to give you a little bit of personal background on this.
Yeah. Right.
Way back in 25 years ago. I think it was that long ago. My God, 20-something years ago. I was part of a group called the Fair Ballot Alliance of Massachusetts that was trying to promote ranked choice voting and proportional representation elections, Cambridge style, in other places in Massachusetts. FBAM, as it was called, is no more, but ranked choice voting, especially after the 2000 election, where there was all the butterfly ballots in Florida and all of these things, and vote splitting, a lot of concern about did Ralph Nader cost the Al Gore the election.
Definitely in Florida.
So there was a lot of promotion of alternate ways of thinking about voting in the subsequent years. So there was an uptick. So now the group called it was used to be called the Center for Voting and Democracy. FBAM was kind of an offshoot of that. They eventually rebranded themselves, gave themselves a new name called Fair Vote. And Fair Vote has been promoting ranked choice balloting all around the country. They also are the big promoters for this so-called National Popular Vote Initiative, which is kind of a workaround which, believe me, it will never be found to be constitutional.
It's just there's too many people in the cities that they don't want people to.
The executive director of Fair Vote is a fellow named Rob Ritchie, and Rob and I have had back and forth arguments about this. He says, no. All of our experts say this is going to be wonderful. We won't get into the details of this compact among states.
Well,
but
are there any other communities that do PR in this country?
Very little. I'll tell you. I won't give you the whole list here, but
No, I didn't know there was that many.
But in a way, it was the one good fallout of the 2000 election was the Help America Vote Act was one thing. So there was better voting equipment, and a lot of attention to voting equipment and voting methods, et cetera. But slowly but surely, a few places actually adopted ranked choice voting, like Minneapolis and Minneapolis-St. Paul, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting.
And in fact, that's the only place where they actually adopted proportional representation.
For municipal elections.
Yeah, because Cambridge was pretty much all that was left.
Yeah.
And what happened then was, it was only for some really minor board or something, but it was important because it kind of broke the ice, so to say. Because there used to be proportional representation Cambridge style in other places in the country and a lot of places in Massachusetts, Colorado, Ohio, and what have you.
And they just got rid of it?
What tended to happen is that because it was proportional representation, it would elect people in proportion to their share of the population.
Yeah.
There were some places where black people were elected in proportion to their population. People didn't like that, so they wanted to get rid of that crazy system. In New York City, 2 communists made it onto the city council. But this is in the 30s, and it was New York City. This is not as shocking if 2 out of 13 were that way. And by the time they repealed proportional representation in New York, both of the communists were already gone. So it was just crazy. So slowly but surely, people just abandoned it in favor of other systems. But it still actually exists as a sort of a preferred option in Robert's Rules of Order for how to conduct meetings and how to have elected bodies. But anyway, just getting back to the point is that San Francisco has ranked choice voting for electing their mayor and their boards of supervisors. A few other places, spacing out on some of the other locations.
But no states.
So no states, and Maine had a ballot initiative to adopt ranked choice voting for United States senators.
Wow.
U.S. congressmen, and I believe there are 2 seats in Maine, state of Maine, so they would be elected by ranked choice voting. So you rank you by preference, and then if there are more than 2 candidates, then the lowest one in the poll votes transfer to next available choices, just like we do in Cambridge elections, right? But only to elect single seats, that's all. So it's not proportional representation. Let me be clear about that.
Yeah, so that's, all right, so
It's
now.
ranked choice voting.
That's different than proportional.
You're not electing
okay.
a multi-member body.
You're not
right?
giving the whole amount and dividing
Yeah,
it by how many
Cambridge pretty much
votes.
stands
Okay.
alone for that,
All
actually, as
right.
far as municipalities.
I get it.
But, you're opening the door. So
It just
maybe
means that that third vote could make a difference in the,
it could make a difference. So, for example,
Okay.
if we did it in the presidential election in one of the
Right.
states, after
those third parties would go to
you
the
would
top
take
one,
the
maybe.
Stein,
Yeah.
whatever her
Yeah.
name was, would transfer to next available choice.
Although I bet those people
next
didn't,
available
yeah, I
choice.
think the presidential, there
Right, you're
wouldn't
not
have been.
obliged to vote for more than one candidate.
And I
right?
bet they wouldn't.
Well, I don't know, they might.
In some they might be,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
And then, and then if
Yeah.
you're down to 3, then you knock off the
Okay.
next lowest, and Johnson Weld, and then they transfer, and it might actually make a difference in
Mm-hmm. Maybe,
a given state.
yeah.
So now I don't know whether this actually. I think. Let's see. Does this apply for presidential elections? I don't know that it would.
I thought the whole, maybe just state elections.
Right. So it's for
Although-
governor. And the governor was very opposed to this because
course
he's a
he is, 'cause
candidate
he's a
who would never have been
nutcase.
elected if it was
I
a
know.
majoritarian system.
Absolutely.
In
interesting.
Maine, it actually passed on squeaked by. I think it was
Was it,
something.
so it was pretty close then?
It was actually very, very close. I believe it was. I have it written down somewhere, but
Okay.
it was something like 52 to
Wow.
52 to 48 or 51 to 49. But it did, or maybe 53% of the vote.
That's
but it
interesting.
passed, so
Yeah.
it's significant. So from
And
now
it's a
on,
binding.
it's binding.
Binding.
So they'll elect governor, senators, congressmen, and I checked this afternoon.
Yeah.
All of the state senators and state
Right,
reps.
that's what I thought.
The one thing I don't
That's
understand is, does this eliminate party primaries? Because, so in other words, if you basically only had 2 dominant parties and then it was, 15 people splitting the vote madly to become one candidate as the Democratic nominee, that sort of defeats the idea of having ranked choice voting because you'd want to have it in the primaries as well. Now, maybe
So
they
maybe
will.
it will be in the,
Maybe
it
they
sounds to
will.
me it has to be.
I'm
but-
not sure. I have to
find
look
out,
into that. But the point is they broke
Yeah.
ground on this initiative.
Yeah.
And now that it happened in Maine, I can tell you because I talk with the fair vote people a lot. Now they're really looking to have other states consider it now. And
Okay.
I think I saw something briefly. I didn't read it that maybe Alaska's now looking into it and whatever. Okay. If I had my druthers, whatever that means,
Yeah.
I wish they would do a lot of elections in Massachusetts that way for state rep seats. In fact, if it was up to me, I
Right,
would
this is-
eliminate party primaries, have an open
Agreed.
process,
Yes.
and then you have multiple candidates, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4,
then
whatever,
rank them.
and then
Yeah.
rank choice voting, and
Yeah.
then you go down to 3 to 2 to
That
1.
saves
to
some
elect one.
money too on all those
You don't really
primaries
need
stuff,
it.
yeah.
Honestly, to have
Yeah.
state reps and state senators
Run
elected
unopposed and all that stuff, yeah, crazy.
or just be elected in a very low voter turnout primary in September when nobody cares,
Right.
and then have them run unopposed in November is just nuts.
Right.
For a state that prides itself in being a progressive, intellectually
Good point.
astute place, for us to do things so stupidly as we
Yeah.
do here is shameful.
So is there a movement for that here or not enough?
I don't think so, because honestly, the political people, they like it the way it is
Well, it's all
because they're
democratically
in.
controlled,
They
yeah.
would actually have competitive elections in November
Right.
for state rep and state senate seats if it was in fact changed. And I don't know that they want that.
Yeah, that's a good
Honestly,
point, yeah.
so they're really good at passing nice initiatives like early voting and pre-registration, all these wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful, touchy-feely things. But if it's anything, that might,
Pre-registration. We still don't
Well,
have day of registration.
well, the thing is, if you're 17 years old and you want to, you
that,
could
yeah.
pre-register and then become registered when your birthday comes.
They did allow, there was a court case and they did allow 3 people to register to vote after the deadline.
Yeah.
So that's going to set a precedent. You heard about that, right?
No,
There was
if I did, but
3 people sued that they, for whatever reason, could not register by October 19th, and some state, I don't know who they were, some judge said, you have to let them register, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a good case, it might be a
Right,
one-off.
but I'm just saying that sets, well.
It potentially can set a precedent, to
I
be sure.
feel like that is a problem right there.
But anyway, for those who take an interest in other voting systems, like I do, let's take a note. Something interesting happened in Maine.
Do you know much about what happened with the voting rights stuff at the Supreme Court and why people are talking about that a lot? What did they take away?
The one thing I know, there's a thing, and again, you have to almost be a lawyer to understand this properly, but it used to be the case that there were a bunch of states that were listed as having to, when they did things like redistricting, they had to face what they call strict scrutiny. And I don't remember exactly what it all means, but...
they got rid of that?
Right, but so the thing is that these are states that were historically had kind of bad records,
yes,
kind of bad players
on
in terms
voter
of
suppression,
right, civil rights violations.
Right.
Now, the theory, when I think in 1965, when the Civil Rights Act was passed, was that that these states should not be viewed as forever evil.
I
that
see.
there would be provisions so that after there would be
amount of time that would
expirations,
be lifted.
and then the federal government could maintain this level of this higher standard for some of those states, or some
not.
maybe not. So I believe one aspect of the kind of the re-upping of the Civil Rights Act was that many of these states were allowed to say, okay, we're treating you like all the other states now.
Yeah.
And which logically is not a bad thing, but
If they actually were doing the right thing.
Right, but I think a lot of times these decisions are based on politics rather than reality.
But that came from this Supreme Court, this current Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
Well, I mean, it's a changing body there. So anyway, that's still an open question, and I guess we shouldn't be looking to hopefully in the future for any positive resolution of those matters, considering the results of last week's election.
Right.
Let's just sort of jump back a little bit to another I guess it's sort of election related, but it's more very much local municipal related. City Councilor David Maher, who's been on the council for a while and was on the school committee for a good long while before that. I have to confess I had heard the rumor back in August about this, but now it's official.
Can you show his picture just to get away from us, or no?
Yeah, we could do that. Let's see if I actually can. Here we go.
Yeah.
So David Maher has now been selected as the next president and CEO of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, which is probably a pretty good thing because the chamber hasn't been too vocal, too active, too visible for a while. And David is pretty well known, a good negotiator, and he's earned a lot of respect over the years from a lot of quarters. But one interesting thing in addition to doing that is that, and I don't know exactly when he's supposed to take over in the position, but he will not seek re-election to the Cambridge City Council next fall.
It says early December.
Right, so he can take it over, right? And if there's anything that constitutes a conflict,
that's
it might be
interesting.
one thing, but he will not be seeking re-election.
Can you be both?
You could be both. I mean, David has been. I mean, it's a little tricky to be both because...
Sounds like what Trump's doing with his businesses.
Well, the chamber certainly comes in and advocates for positions in front of the city council. So in that sense, it might be awkward. So David would probably have to... No? David would have to recuse himself on certain matters, I would imagine, in the interim.
All right.
But it's certainly already spurring a lot of discussion. If David Maher is not going to seek re-election, that means there will be at least one vacancy on the city council come next fall. And I mean, there are already some emerging candidates that we know of for next.
Any from the last time?
Well, Dennis Benzan almost certainly
Oh,
will
of
get
course,
one.
because he came in actually 10th, right?
Right now, if David were to resign, David Maher were to resign, Dennis Benzan would actually fill the vacancy according to the law.
Interesting.
Based on the ballots that elected, because I've done the analysis. I can just announce that.
So that actually might not be a bad thing.
That could happen. So if it came down to that, it's possible. I think the current plan, though, is just to finish out the term. But the thing is, there are a few other candidates. We had one candidate, Ronald Benjamin, on this program a while ago. He's running. Sam Gebru, if I pronounced that correctly.
I don't know who that is.
He is. You were sitting next to him at the city council yesterday.
Oh, Oh, was that who that was?
That
Okay.
was Sam. Yeah,
Samuel.
he's actually already doing a fundraiser.
I didn't know that.
And he's got
No wonder he
logos.
shook my hand.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. He's
a
working the
politician.
crowd. He's definitely
All right.
working the crowd.
Well,
We'll have to have
thank
him
you for
on at
telling
some
me that.
point.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I don't know whether these candidates would be appealing to the same political base as David Maher has had over the years, which is largely centered out here in
Yes.
Village, West Cambridge.
Yes.
Though David has a lot of citywide appeal. So that means there will be an opening for a candidate, maybe who, of a similar type, some kind of person. I think a lot of people are already talking about, trying to recruit and hustle up some interest in some people for possible
Then they'll
candidacy
probably
for
be
next year.
the usuals.
Yeah, most people,
They
most
run
incumbents
every
will run.
2 years.
Yeah, they'll
no,
just
but
continue
even
to
the
run.
ones that never.
And then we'll have the usuals. Yeah.
No, I'm not putting. I shouldn't be cynical if they. But it's their chance to get their platform out. Sometimes it's just to give them a voice.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
But
more
for
power
me,
to
I
them.
want to have.
I want some serious people.
I want serious people. If we're going to elect 9
Yeah.
city councilors, I want to see 15 serious candidates.
Yeah.
At least, right?
That are qualified.
Yeah, right. And so anyway, that's
More women.
So
Sorry.
definitely, I'd like to see more women.
Yeah.
I think more people who, David represents a certain cross section that he's not part of the radical crowd. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is there's just not a lot of interest in candidacy because it's a pain in the butt, and who wants the abuse?
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of money you have to raise. There are a lot of reasons why people who might be good candidates just decide
Some
not to
people
do
get
it.
in without raising a lot of money.
Right,
It
you
depends.
don't need a lot of money, but the
Yeah.
thing is that if you don't have a lot of name recognition,
Yeah. And you
or
have a
background,
day
you
job
may
and
wanna-
you don't have a lot of time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you basically you purchase a portion of your campaign. But anyway, it is sort of a big news item.
Yes.
We don't know. There may be other vacancies too. But I believe me. I knew about this back in August, but I'm good. I can keep a secret.
Wow, you can. You never
Yeah.
told me.
I told you I can keep a secret.
You can. Very
right?
good.
So the announcement came out. It's official.
In the vault, as Seinfeld would
In the
say.
vault, absolutely in the vault, right? So anyway, that's something worth thinking about. It is now November. Not always in the past, you didn't even start talking about municipal election campaigns
Spring,
until.
right?
Usually wasn't until close to spring,
Okay.
but certainly not before January. But in the last
Yeah.
few years, there have been some candidates who filed papers to be candidates before the turn of the year. So basically, after the previous election day, so
Yeah.
in November, is when things start percolating.
When do they have to file papers?
Not until June.
Okay.
June.
You have to get signatures, or you just
you
file
got 50,
papers?
50 valid
Oh, okay.
signatures.
All right.
It's not hard to be a candidate. It's
Okay.
hard. It's not so easy to be a
harder to run.
successful candidate,
Yes.
right? It's certainly looking at the field of candidate. It's clearly not that hard to be a candidate, right? Maybe it should be a
Field of
little
what
harder.
candidates? Okay.
yeah,
I see what you
some of the
mean. Okay.
characters, the
All right.
usual suspects, as
Usual
people
suspects,
often
yeah.
refer to
All
them
right.
as, right? So anyway, we talk a little bit about the ranked choice voting, which I think is a significant thing,
Yes.
to be sure.
Yeah.
We talked about some of those ones. A couple of little announcements. We maybe talk a little bit about the presidential stuff. It's kind of a tough topic to
You
talk
know
about.
what?
Let's
You
be
can
clear.
pass it.
Right.
I'm not in denial, but
Yeah.
it's very depressing. So.
Right, but a few other things happened on Sunday. Right, I did mention the Veterans Day
You did that,
remembrance
yeah.
on
Well, that
Friday.
was Friday.
But on Sunday was a first annual
I heard about that.
Cambridge Half Marathon, where a lot of people, some people, actually, I think the city of Cambridge did a pretty good job of notifying people,
I don't
but
think
there
so.
were still a lot of people who
I
didn't
don't think
know.
so. When I saw that, I
I know.
immediately told some people that I know were doing a carpool.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Cambridge did a much better job than Somerville did when they did an event a few weeks back, and
Oh, really?
nobody knew. And
Oh.
and everybody was like, they were like mile and a half traffic backups, and
Wow.
they kept rolling down the window going, these are Somerville residents. I say,
What was the
do you know what's
event?
going on? They go, we have no idea.
What was the event?
It was a road race. It was a road race.
Usually they're not half marathons.
You know, the
but
way
still,
Somerville works
yeah.
is Mayor Curtatone just makes a declaration, that's it,
And if you
tough
don't have
luck.
Twitter, too bad.
Tough luck,
Yeah.
right? No process.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did one in Cambridge. It was on Sunday morning.
Yes.
which I guess in terms of traffic impact is probably the best time to have it. So it started
that
down.
it impacts Route 2, it impacted Fresh
I
Air,
know,
and a lot of
because it
things.
basically was a half marathon, so it was
Yeah.
like 13
And it
plus
goes through
miles.
Belmont and back,
And
yeah.
all the way out to the Belmont line, came back, and so it actually scooted out along Cambridge Street, and then came back, and then through North Cambridge and West Cambridge, and then came back along Broadway, so they were
Broadway.
coming right in front of my house. when we were
Oh, so
heading
you
back.
saw all that.
Yeah, so we went out there, we were cheering, and,
Good for you.
And I saw my office mate come running by,
Wow.
Beth, and I said, "Hey, Beth."
What was, it was
I saw one of my students come running
It was a
by.
benefit for what? Do you remember?
I think the chief beneficiary, there may be others, is Cambridge Camping.
Oh, that's what it was,
Yeah.
right.
So it was a really successful event, and
Yeah.
again, tip of the hat to everybody who organized it. It was great. All the runners loved it, and the weather was very cooperative.
Yeah, that's true.
It was really, really great. All right, so anyway, that was one other little item happening. For those who are into civic stuff and opportunities, I'll just mention that tomorrow evening, well, tonight, there's a Cambridgeport Neighbors Association having
Yeah.
a meeting with a variety of things. It's an interesting meeting over at the Central Square Library, starting at 6:30,
Right.
which is 10 minutes from now.
Right.
So rush on over there.
Yeah, we're gonna go over.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go over there. And then at 7 o'clock, the planning board is also going to have a bit of a same presentation the city
We
council
didn't even
got on
mention that
Envision
last night.
Cambridge.
There was a round table instead
It
of a
was a
city
round
council
table
meeting.
about Envision
Right.
Cambridge. There was some interesting things. Maybe we can do, since there's a lot of Envision Cambridge stuff this week, maybe we can touch on some of them next
Yeah, we
week.
have 6, next week, okay.
Yeah, but it was an interesting round table.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd like to see at least a little more movement on the Envision Cambridge thing, but hey, it's something.
How long have they been now in operation?
Most of this
A
year. Yeah.
Not quite a year.
Not quite. The appointments were made, I believe, at the beginning of the year.
But Utah has been involved.
Yeah, I think a few people, including some of the city councils, when I talked privately, they just wanted to see at least a little more movement, but I think maybe that'll happen now. There was a lot of getting ready for
Well,
it
when do
all.
they have to have the final?
It's basically, they estimated maybe could be a 3-year process.
I know, so.
There's going to be something a little more specific on the Alewife area that was sort of pushed up front. So they'll have something by the end of the year on that. All right.
So I guess I'm just going to ask a naive citizen question. So if it's going to a 3-year process, what happens to all the things that have to get decided now, like about zoning
They
and
just
different
happen.
stuff?
The thing is that
So then then they say, oh, well, gee, you did that, but with this report says you should have done this.
I think everybody, some people may have resisted the idea, but it was
Yeah.
made pretty clear early on
Yeah,
that, in fact, just because you're having a master plan envisioning process that lasts a few years,
Yeah.
that is not a moratorium on all things. There were some people who
Well, it
wanted it
can't
to
be.
be.
Well,
no, there were some of the
yeah, really?
activists who very much wanted that, and but it was made very clear right up front that's not what's going to
It just
happen.
can't stop.
So we've had Mass in Maine has got approved here. We have the Central Square Restoration petition. We will actually have to have either Patrick Barrett or George Metzger or somebody from the Central Square area to come talk about that one of these
Yeah.
weeks soon. They're going to be in front of the Ordinance Committee in early December. There were other zoning petitions that have been
Yeah.
filed, life goes on.
People move in, people move out, so the population's going to change a little.
Yeah.
I
But
just think it's
simultaneously,
interesting.
there's this sort of overarching
Yeah,
planning
I
process
just
going.
wonder. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, they met with the roundtable of the city council last night. They're talking at the planning board with an update tonight. Tomorrow they're having Envision Cambridge Advisory Committee that I'm
You're
on.
on.
So if you want to come give me grief,
And remember about being
That's
part
up
of
at
those
City Hall
working
Annex.
groups by Friday.
that
Okay.
deadline is on Friday, and on Thursday I never make it to these ones, and I don't remember the location, but they're also having one that's specific to the Alewife area.
Thursday, I also should mention there
Since-
is at Central Square Library there. I think Mark McGovern, this homeless,
Yeah,
the whole thing on homelessness.
I haven't been
I signed up for
staying
that.
totally into that.
Yeah.
So that's Envision Cambridge related matters. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, November 16th, actually no, it's in the afternoon. This is something that may interest you, maybe not. It's actually at the Ackerman Room in City Hall. They're having a Transportation Public Utilities Committee to conduct a public hearing to discuss gradually increasing the parking permit fee to consider other improvements to the program to help fund the city's budget toward reducing vehicle miles traveled. This becomes very politicized. Again, I don't want to jump to too many statements here, but There are some people, right now, it used to be something, what's $8 and it went up to 20 and then 25. There are some people who seriously think
Should be 50.
that it should, no, there are some
100?
people who come right out and say it should be several $100s for a resident permit fee.
With some abatement for people who can't afford it?
Oh, I guess they would have
Yeah,
to do
you
that.
have to.
But, so what they're really doing is they're not using it to fund anything so much as they're using it to
punish drivers,
anybody
yeah.
who wants to
Have a car.
and park it, and especially park it on the street.
Okay.
So anyway, so if that's something that floats your boat, or drives your car, or rides your bike, they're having a meeting 3:30 to 5:30 at the Ackerman Room this Wednesday, so that's tomorrow afternoon. So if that's something of some interest to you, all right? So we've sort of conveniently, I was supposed
You
to
wanted
say
to
that.
mention this book, didn't you?
Mention the book here. So they actually did it at the city council meeting last
Do
week.
you have a picture of it if I click on this?
I don't know if I have it here. I think maybe, actually, if you click the link, you can
I
actually
did.
go to it.
I saw that.
Right?
Oh,
So,
and now,
so you're right there. Actually,
Okay.
that's fine.
that's enough.
Right, it's a book here, it's just a small picture of it right in there, but Charles Sullivan and Susan Maycock, who both work at the Cambridge Historical Commission, co-authored a book here called Building Old Cambridge, a hardcover book. I actually I was gonna buy it on the way over here, but it was rainy out and I didn't want to get it wet.
MIT Press.
But I checked it out yesterday and just lifted it. The thing is awesome big. It's a big, heavy book. $50 approximately it'll cost you. But I tell you, when I was just paging through it, it was definitely worth it.
Okay.
So anyway, that's called Building Old Cambridge. Kind of, it has some pieces that you would have seen in the old Cambridge part of the Survey of Architectural History of Cambridge, which was produced by the Cambridge Historical
I
Commission
was going to
way
say,
back
they
when.
have several books that are
There's a
about
5-volume
Cambridge,
series.
yes?
This is in some ways an update, but
Okay.
in many ways incredibly new and a lot more substantial than anything that came before. So I'm
Wow.
really looking forward to getting that book, and you should too. It's definitely worth it.
I'll look at your copy.
Yeah.
I'll go to the library. I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
have copies.
So we've sort of successfully not
Yes.
talked about too much presidential things,
No.
but I just thought I sort of wanted to say one
Trump
thing.
is president.
It's sad,
It's hard to
to
say.
say.
President-elect.
It wasn't my choice,
Yeah.
but I have to say that the one of the better things came out of it was the cold open for Saturday Night Live on Saturday when
Yeah, which
Kate
got a lot of
McKinnon-
abuse by some people, but
Maybe
I thought it
so,
was
but I have to
perfect.
tell you,
That
it was
perfect.
stunning and
Quintessential.
beautiful and exactly the right thing to
Yeah.
have done.
It
was
honored
somber,
Leonard Cohen, it honored her, it,
singing
yeah.
Leonard Cohen's
Yeah.
song Hallelujah, Kate
Yeah.
McKinnon in her Hillary Clinton
If you
character.
haven't seen it, you can see
If
it.
you haven't seen it, you've
YouTube,
got to
it's
see
all
it. It
over.
was one of the best
Beautiful.
things Saturday Night Live ever
Oh, and then
did.
her thing about
Yeah. Anyway, we're out
Ruth
of
Bader
time.
Ginsburg. That was great.
Next time, see you on
Okay,
Cambridge
bye.
Inside Out.
Did you see that? The Ruth Bader Ginsburg thing?
Yeah.
With the taking the emergency?
I
And then
know.
she said, I think I need water.
I have to tell you, Kate McKinnon has become. I
saying, like
worship
Kristen
the
Wiig,
ground she walks
Amy
on.
Paul, yeah, she's at that level.
She just and
Yeah.
that thing she
Yeah,
the thing
that
she
was
did
like,
on
but Jim Browdy had something to say about that.
really, what did Browdy have to
And
say?
he
about
thought, I don't know. I mean, and then some
Well,
people,